Hey everyone, I'm Robert Parris and welcome to BNEWS Sports Hub. We're going to take a look back at the historic run girls hockey has made, including their 19-2-2 season and their playoff journey. We're going to speak with head coach Rick Sheehan and the senior captains Shea McDonald, Katie Hayes, and Mia Lauder. And that's all right here, right now on BNEWS Sports Hub. I am here with head coach Rick Sheehan of the girls ice hockey team. Rick, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So you are the associate principal here at the high school. How did you get that job as well as the girls head coach? What's the story with that?
I got hired as an associate principal 23 years ago, so it's been quite a while. I applied like everyone else did. I went through the interview process. And I think I had a pretty strong background in discipline because I was coming from a Greater Lawrence Tech as a dean of students. So I don't know. I think something I said in the interview process must have worked because I'm still here 23 years later. And then as far as the hockey coaching thing went, I coached high school hockey before I came to Burlington, up at Central Catholic in Lawrence, and so I volunteered here for a couple of years. Danny Calori was the coach before Marty Conley, and then Marty Conley stepped in. So I volunteered with those guys. And then when Coach Conley stepped down, Mr. Hart said, "Why don't you think about doing it?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure, why not?" I've done it in the past. Hockey's just it's a great sport to coach, period.
Now, associate principal by day, hockey coach by night. How does that transition well? Just basically dealing with the students and then dealing with the athletes. How does that work in your day schedule during that season?
I think it goes hand in hand. You spend it all day long with the kids, and then you go to practice and you spend it with your team. It's nice coming in a day after a game, particularly this season because we had so many good games, and talking about the game and sharing that stuff with the team. Because you're only on the ice for an hour. You're in the locker room, I don't know, a little bit before, a little bit after. You don't really spend like a 6-hour day like we do here at school. So I'm fortunate that I get to see all of the athletes. I see them through the course of the day. I see them in the cafeteria. My role as associate principal allows me to see students all day long. Whereas if I was just a classroom teacher, I'd be limited to just my classroom time, which wouldn't allow me to maybe see the athletes. But it's worked out quite well. I think it has.
Now, you guys, everyone, the team had the best record in girls hockey history with a final record of 19 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. What do you think made the difference this year?
I think our senior leadership was instrumental in our success. I think when you come together as a team in a locker room and as a family, everyone plays for one another. They play really hard for one another. But I think some of our seniors, the 3 that you're going to talk to tonight, all played as 7th graders, and I think they understood what it was like to be that nervous little 7th grader in the locker room. And I think their leadership was just outstanding in terms of bringing the whole team together because, as you know, we did have some 7th graders who played this year as well, which we haven't had since the seniors were 7th graders. So the locker room really came together, and I think the senior leadership did an outstanding job of pulling everyone together.
Now, you went to my next question. You're reading my mind. You got the 6th sense there. Yeah. Let's talk about the 7th and 8th graders. How do they adapt with that environment?
I think the 8th graders historically have adapted probably a little bit better. I think they're a little closer to high school. I think the 7th graders clearly are not. This is my first time coaching 7th graders. Even when the current seniors were 7th graders, I was volunteering. I really wasn't on the bench for games and whatnot. But it is an adjustment. The age gap is pretty big still. But athletically, they can play. They can contribute, which they did. I think they felt part of the team and they felt a positive experience thanks to, the senior leadership. So I think they transitioned pretty well. They all could skate well. They all could handle the puck. They all could shoot and pass. So I think that helped the athletic transition. And then I think the leadership on the team really made them feel welcome. So I think it helped. I mean, they do their pasta parties on the night before games and whatnot. And I know one mom was telling me she just thought it was the coolest thing ever to see them all get along like they did. You know.
Now, how is it different between coaching middle schoolers and high schoolers? Is it the same for everyone, or is it different?
It's the same. You know, you're competing at the high school level. You want them to compete at the high school level. Athletically, I think they were talented enough to compete at the high school level. So they did play. The 3 7th graders, there were one forward, 2 defensemen. They all got plenty of ice time. One of the forwards scored the 1 goal against Hingham. We beat Hingham 1-0, and it was the 7th grader who scored the goal. So they could actually compete. If they couldn't, I wouldn't put them in a situation where they couldn't. It's a high level we play at. All our non-league games were Division I opponents, with the exception of Falmouth, and Falmouth was the number 2 team in the state all season long. So you know, if they're capable, you give them, you ease them in, which I think we did a little bit, and then once they felt comfortable playing, they all skated a regular shift for the most part.
And are there 2 to 3 important lessons that they learned from you as the coach, the younger athletes?
I don't know how much they learned from me. You know, we work hard in practice, and that's been a theme for all of the years I've coached. Like I said to the girls after the loss against Marshfield, is that we're a tough out. We're a tough team to play against. We play 45 minutes of hockey every night. There's been no quit in our game. We play, and we keep coming at you, and we keep coming at you. And I think if they've probably learned anything is that, you play, and I think that was part of our success, is that we skate for 3 straight periods. To beat us, it takes a good game. And the 2 games we lost all year were games we couldn't score. The goalie was good. We got shut out. But the other 19 games, we brought it. We really played well. So I think they probably learned skate hard, play hard for 45 minutes. Some of them don't play 45 minutes on their youth teams, so that's a bit of an adjustment as well. 45 minutes hockey is a long hockey game.
So what have they taught you?
What have they taught me? Patience, probably. To be patient, wait, for things to come along. Sometimes you don't see things execute as you want. It takes them a little bit of time to get up to speed, which I think involves a little bit of patience. You need repetition. We do a lot of things over and over and over in practice for that simple reason that it takes people patience. It takes some time to get caught up, get up to the speed. Like I said, it's a high level we play at. We play a lot of Division I schools. Even in our own league, the Liberty teams there's 6 Division I schools that we play in addition to the non-leagues. So they just have to get up to speed. You can't expect too much. I can obviously expect a lot more from my seniors than I could from my 7th and 8th graders. Even the 9th graders too, for that matter. They're still young. Our 9th graders are only in their 2nd year of varsity hockey right now, and sometimes you got to remind yourself that she's only a 9th grader. She's not a senior. She's not a junior or a senior who've been around for some of the wars, some of the state tournament games, like the seniors have.
And how did you choose the captains this season?
The team picks the captains. I have final say. But I let the team, what I do is I wait for the team to come together for 2 weeks, and then I let them pick the leadership in that locker room, because they know who the leaders are. I'm not a fan of taking this year's team and picking next year's captains. I want the current locker room to recognize the girls in the room that deserve, and that are the leaders. The truth of the matter is, when we had leaders, we had both. We had vocal leaders, we had lead by example captains as well. It really was a great blend of senior leadership this year.
And how do they choose? Like you say, okay, you ladies can pick the captains this year. Then how do they get to choose? Like, what do they see, and then be like, okay, they should be captain?
I think probably reputation. Some players that have played, even if you haven't played with them, some of the things they've done. The 3 captains this year have had a very lengthy history. They've played high school hockey for 6 years. So people pretty much know them. They know what they bring to the table on a daily basis. They know their skill set. They know what they're capable of. They know their work ethic. So I think some of those things exist. Like the new kids, like the 7th graders probably didn't know too much. What do you know in 2 weeks? But clearly the 9th graders, the 10th graders, and the 11th graders know, who's a role model in that locker room.
Now I want to switch gears and talk about the 3 playoff games. I know I was there for all 3 of them. So we're going to talk about the round of 32, Medway, a big 5-1 win, but a scoreless first period. Talk about how the team regrouped.
We did a lot of good things in the first period, which I told them we've just got to continue to do what we do. We stick to our game plan. We go over the defensive zone on a regular basis. We go over our forecheck on a regular basis. We go over our power play on a regular basis. So they know what they need to do. They just have to be able to go out and continue. I think one of our strengths this year is that as the games and the periods would go on, we would wear teams down. So for the first period, you could skate with us. And then in the second period, you notice a little difference. Would be a little bit more time in the offensive zone. And then by the third period, in this particular game, by the third period, we were out shooting them. I don't know, probably it was like 15-4 or something. So I think that was pretty typical of our season. We just continued to skate our pace. And then, some of the other teams would struggle with some of that stuff.
So junior Caitlin Tremblay had a hat trick during that game. I know it got pretty out of hand during one of the periods. I'm like, okay, yep, this is a definite W. But how did the offense help her find ways to score against this Medway goalie?
Well, we talk a lot, not just in that particular game, but we talk a lot about getting pucks to the net. Get pucks to the net, pucks to the net. They don't have to be the perfect shot. They don't have to be a goal scorer's beauty. You just got to get pucks to the net, and sometimes you get lucky. She had one. I think her third goal was a really nice tip from the point. And the other thing we talk a lot about in practice is taking the eyes away from the goalie. If she can see the puck, most goalies are going to make the save. If you can cause a screen, get your body, get the defenseman's body in front of her, it makes it a lot harder on the goaltender to see the puck and make the save. So Caitlin's she's an outstanding player. She's got a lot of skill. She's got a lot of speed. She makes a lot of good things happen. She actually pulled off the Michigan, and I don't know if the audience out there knows what the Michigan is, but she pulled off the Michigan in the game against Wellesley in Wellesley. It's a pretty talented, tricky little move you do with your stick, and then you flip it into the goal with the goalie.
So kind of like.
Yeah, it's actually it was pretty cool. She's a pretty talented hockey player.
Now let's talk about the round of 16, Plymouth South. That was even a bigger win, 8-0. You shut them out. Once again, scoreless first period, but the Panthers were playing really good defense in the first. How did the team adjust during intermission?
Well, I think Shea and Caitlin and Shayla decided we're going to go right off the opening face-off. We're going to go forward, and we're going to go right off and try to spring Caitlin or try to create an offensive play, which they did. They've done that a couple times earlier in the year. We were down 2-1 maybe against Wilmington Stoneham, and at the start of the third period, Shea did the same thing. She sent it over the boards. Caitlin walked in. Caitlin gets a goal. They kind of did the same thing. Caitlin got the puck to the net. Shea tucked the rebound in, and then they go right back at the center ice face-off and do it all over again. Only Shayla ends up knocking the puck in. So I think about 16 seconds apart, all of a sudden it's 2-0, and they're calling a timeout to kind of regroup and kind of settle things down a little.
So senior Shea McDonald, hat trick in that game.
Yep.
Was it her first time doing it in the playoffs, or has she done it in the past?
That's a good question. It might have been her first hat trick in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
Scoring a goal in the playoffs is quite an accomplishment to begin with, never mind doing 3 of them.
Yeah.
But that might have been her first hat trick in the playoffs. She's had hat tricks during the regular season, but that might be the first one in the playoffs, if I recall. Yeah.
And what was the feeling like after that game? Just the girls performed so well. It's just like your reaction to that.
That was another game where I just think we played our game and they tired out as the periods went on. First period was kind of even. Second period we scored 3. We even scored a shorthanded goal in the second period to go up 3-0. And then Anna Viglione scored that one, and then she came out in the third period and scored another one. Before you know, we're up 4-0, and Plymouth South is worrying, wondering what happened. They were in it at one point. At 2-0, you're still kind of in it, but at 3-0, 4-0, now you get yourself a pretty good uphill climb.
Yeah.
But we just, like I said, when we do things well, we just stick to our game plan. We stick to the things we do every day in practice, and it pays off.
Now, I know we don't want to talk about this, but we're going to have to do the third game, the Elite 8, a 2-0 loss in Marshfield. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the arena, which is in Watertown. And was it difficult playing at a neutral site instead of the Ice Palace? I know it's obviously, you guys do play away games in the regular season. You can play away games in the postseason, but just talk about that neutral site.
I mean, it is more comfortable playing at home. Obviously, we have our own locker room. We've got our own routine, which is a pretty good one. But if you're going to go after a neutral site, we've gone down to the Bourne rink and the Gallo rink in Bourne.
That's far.
Yeah, we've gone down. Yeah, it is. We've had no luck in that rink. I don't think we even have won a playoff game.
I'll hold that thought real quick.
Okay.
The Final Four would have been at the Gallo Arena.
Well, I don't know. Depending on the teams, they try to pick a neutral site.
Yeah.
It could have been the Ryan rink in Watertown still. It might. I know Framingham was also talked about being a possible site. I think with Duxbury with Canton and Falmouth playing, that's why they chose the Gallo.
Right.
But I mean, last year we played a couple games down at Canton. Going into a neutral rink, neutral site is okay. And in that particular case, we've played at the Ryan twice already this year. So we get to select the bench. We get to, it's actually a good sheet of ice. They do a really nice job there. The lighting is really good. The boards are good. There's no quirky bounces and stuff like that. And it's a good sheet of ice to play on. So, you're in the playoffs. You're thankful to be there. So you're thankful for wherever it is you're playing. Frankly, I think, and most coaches will say, I don't care if we're going to go out and play on Silver Lake. Let's just go play the game.
So I spoke to Kevin Carnell before the game, and he told me that you loved, if I'm looking at the ice rink going inside, you liked the left side, and that's where the whole team was, that bench, because every time you play in Watertown.
Well, we stay on, exactly. That's one of the reasons I selected the bench. They actually gave me the option of picking the bench, and I think maybe that's because we were the home team. So I said, that's the bench we've been on for the last 2 games. Actually, every time we play there, we play on that bench. So I just felt there was a comfort level. We've never been across the ice on the other side. So I figured, let's just stick with what we know, with what we're comfortable with. And we did play well. We outplayed them in definitely segments of the game.
One quick question about that. They scored twice in the second period, one on a power play, and then a 3-2 situation. What stuck out to you?
We took a penalty to go down 5-4, and our shorthanded's been really good all year long. And then we took another penalty and went down 5-3. 5-3 is a lot tougher to kill. Some of our seniors, Anna's good, Caitlin's good, Shea's good on the kill. But, there was a lucky bounce. It ends up on a stick. It ends up over the goalie's shoulder. Those things are going to happen. Sometimes they talk about puck luck. Sometimes you need to create your own, and I think they took advantage of the couple opportunities that they did have.
Now, in the interview after the game you had with me, you quoted, "It was a sour way to go out." How did your opponent play differently against the team?
How did who play?
Marshfield.
How did they
play differently against Arlington?
We ran into a hot goalie. Anytime you lose, we had high expectations. We had a really good year at this point. We only lost 1 game all season. So I think we really were hoping to play well, and we did, and hoping to get by Marshfield. And their goalie just stoned us. And that happens. If Falmouth went on to play them and only scored 1 goal against that goalie too. So that goalie was pretty solid. She did a really good job of especially in the playoffs. Anything can happen. Like I said, you get a lucky bounce, a little puck luck. But she played really well. We ran into our goalie. We had 33 shots. She made 33 saves. That's a lot.
And what was the locker room speech like after the game?
They're tough because everyone's upset. Everyone worked so hard. All season long we worked hard, but we worked really hard in that game, and we just didn't end up with the result we wanted. And I said to them, I said, you played well enough to win, but we just ran into a hot goaltender, and those things happen. There's no real easy speech to give that makes anyone feel better. Everyone, I said, including myself, was upset, that it ended right now, and it is a sour way to end. You outplay a team, you outshoot them, you'd expect to maybe get by them, but they played well. We played well. It just, like I said on the bench at one point, I don't think it's in the cards. But I told them how proud of them I was. I told them what a good team they are, and one of the things I said to them is I've already said it tonight, is you're a tough out. You play 45 minutes of hockey really hard, and anybody who beats you has had to earn beating you. And Marshfield's goalie did. She beat us.
What will you miss from the seniors?
Their leadership, but but the things they bring to the table are their personalities. The locker room is a great place. It's probably one of the best locker rooms I've had in a very long time that I've seen. They interact really well, and I attribute that to the senior class. They really are character kids. They're solid role models. They're solid hockey players. I think they teach the younger kids how to do things. And I think that's what I'm going to miss the most. This is the biggest senior class we've had. We had 7 seniors, and I think it showed in the locker room and how everyone got along. There are years we've had 1 senior, 2 seniors. It's tough to be a senior class with leadership with just 1 or 2 members of your class. But all 7 girls were outstanding. They were excellent. They get along. They provided a lot of humor. You need some humor sometimes, particularly when things aren't going great, or maybe when I'm yelling at you. But I will miss their leadership and the way the character with which they led that team.
So a couple questions before we let you go. What was your favorite game this season and why?
I would, well, that's a tough one because there are 2 that come to mind. And the first one would be the Falmouth game, because we went down there, and I don't think Falmouth was expecting us to be as good as we were and play as competitively as we did. And we tied the game up, and then we scored in overtime to win the thing. The other game I think that is probably one of my favorites of this year is the Hingham game. And a very similar deal. I don't think Hingham was expecting the little town of Burlington to come in and play them for 3 straight periods. And I even spoke to a couple of Hingham people after the game, one of which knows Mr. McMakin. They went to college together. And he said, I don't have a kid in the game, he said, but that was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. He goes, we probably won't see another game this good until the playoffs. So that was quite a compliment. And Hingham's a hockey town. Falmouth is a hockey town. Falmouth is in the Final Four pretty much year in, year out, as well as Hingham is. I think Hingham was number 6 at the time in Division I. So those are probably 2 of my favorites, because we were walking in as clear underdogs, and we just carried the play, and we played well.
Last question. This is a big one. How would you define this 2023-2024 season and its athletes overall, and why?
I've said it a little earlier. There's no quit in their game. I mean, that's what makes an athlete competitive, no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is. I mean, you watch Anna Viglione back check. Are you kidding me? The girl, she comes out, it's like she's shot out of a cannon, you know. All of them. I've had many compliments from referees, from people who was like, you guys back check. I don't know how you guys back check the way you do, and that's a compete. That's a level of compete. And when you're that competitive, that's what tends to turn your effort into success. You can't quit, you can't give up, or you can't get down on yourself, or you can't get down on a teammate. You just continue to compete and compete. And I think that's one of the things the seniors really demonstrated for the team and in our locker room. Our younger kids learned how to compete this year, for sure. And the compete was very high. The seniors set a whole new bar for everyone else that are going to have to, that come after them, I think. So our compete was pretty high, and that's probably one of the things I've enjoyed most about the season. And if I was to label anything, that's it.
Coach Sheehan, thank you for joining me.
Robert, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on. We will be right back.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
I'm here with the captains of girls varsity ice hockey, Mia Lauder, Shea McDonald, and Katie Hayes. Ladies, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So first off, let's talk about the historic record, 19-2-2. How do we feel about that? Long season, but a fantastic one.
Yeah, definitely one of the best records we've had in history. So I think it's kind of cool that we're a part of that and we get to say that. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it was just awesome to be a part of and be able to accomplish that. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great team experience throughout all 23 games, just to get to play with everyone and get to go through that journey together.
So what changes have you ladies made to get there, to get fix the entire season, basically just dominant?
Well, we have 7th graders, so I think really connecting our team as one and treating everyone the same, kind of like building that bond so we can have games where we just like communicate well and just work together. So I think it starts kind of in the locker room with the team atmosphere. I think that builds on and it carries out on the ice as a team.
I think going off of Shea, having that like awesome team bonding experience, and we were all so close and the chemistry was awesome, and we could all just lift each other up and just encourage one another, and that definitely translated onto the ice during games.
Yeah, it was just throughout the entire season we always spent time together and just a bunch of team bonding, whether it was staying and watching the boys game or having team dinners together. We just made sure that we were a close-knit team, and that clearly showed out on the ice.
So as captains, how have you ladies led this team to success this year? Big question.
It was definitely just trying to make all the new players feel welcomed on the team. That was definitely, it's something like that, I don't really know how to word it, but it's our job kind of as upperclassmen, and it's just important to make everyone feel like they have a very important role on the team and just lift them up all the time.
I mean, I think we were also once in their shoes, no matter if we were in the 7th graders' shoes or freshmen, sophomore, or juniors. We were once in their shoes, so we kind of knew what it was like and the thoughts and feelings that we had, so we were able to just help them and make sure it was good.
Yeah, I think being a leader to them, someone they can look up to, someone they can communicate with, that we can communicate to coach, just being that barrier between like a team and the coach, like breaking that bond and making sure that everyone's voice is heard and everyone is fitting in well.
And how do you help the underclassmen become better athletes?
I think honestly treating them as if we're the same, kind of. That we're not treating them like they're younger than us or that they're less capable of us. I think we played our level and they played with us at the same level. So I think just treating them as if they're just every other teammate and not dwelling on any of their skill levels or anything like that.
I don't know, I feel like Shea said that perfectly. I don't know
Yeah.
what else to add.
All right. So talk about Coach Sheehan and how he made you better athletes.
I think what he said, just the repetition. He's all about the repetition and just doing things over and over until we get them right. And he's very, very opinionated about that, and we need to get it right before we move on. And that definitely made us like translated from practices into games, and it just helped us play better, I think.
He loves the game as much as we do, so I think he has a lot of passion for hockey, and we can tell, and he knows we like it, so I think that he's really good for showing us like the love of the sport and like doing things that will help us in the game and on the ice, so I think,
Yeah. I mean, go off what Katie said with his repetition, as we all know he loves it. I mean, we kind of expected, every week we knew what to expect on Mondays, what to expect on Tuesdays, but he just kind of helped everyone grow their love for the sport of hockey. So.
And why do you feel that the other athletes chose you three as the captains?
I think that it kind of speaks for himself. Like everyone gets to vote, and so whatever they see, I guess, in the locker room, what they see communication-wise, who stands up. If it's quiet in the locker room after a tough game, who steps up to speak up about the game, speak up about what we need to work on. And yeah, I was a captain last year, so seeing even other seniors step up this year with me, it was not very hard to pick who else I wanted to be captains with. So I think that helped as well, like who would also step up with me, I guess.
I think it was definitely, you have to have a big locker room presence, and all the seniors try to do that to make an impact on the younger girls and be a good role model, and that definitely helps them pick which ones they think are the best leaders.
Yeah, they both said it best.
So let's talk about the team bonding on and off the ice.
We do have a lot of things in mind. Like, so we do have team dinners usually, or even after games we could go out to dinner, or just small things like that. Nothing like too extravagant, but just being together, even if it's like Mia said, like staying at the boys' game, or we carpool to practice or to pasta parties, things like that. So I think just like spending time together is definitely creates the team bonding. And we even got to go to one of the PWHL games as a team, so I think that also helped. Like watching the girls, we learned a lot about their hockey skill compared to ours, and kind of could watch that, and so I think that also helped us.
I think during practices, you definitely like the team is able to have so much fun with it, as well as just be serious, and I think the energy that we have during practices definitely helps the team I don't know, be able to have fun together, and that just makes us closer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Sheehan says, I mean, he likes to take it serious, but at the same time, he wants to make sure that we have fun. So as like Katie said, you know, just kind of sometimes we'll goof off at practice. Like last couple of weeks of practices, we kind of did goof off, but at the same time, we were still able to, you know, get what we needed to get done and make sure we were serious about it. So.
Now we have 7th and 8th graders on the team as well. So just talk about how they've adjusted to the varsity level.
I think they definitely adjusted quicker than we did.
Yeah,
They
for sure.
fit in perfectly right when they joined the first day. They just weren't shy or anything. They said what they wanted to say and did not hold back, that's for sure. But they all have a lot of skill, and it was just easy for them to fit in, I think.
Obviously they're middle schoolers, so it's very different from high school, but like it's always fun like seeing what they talk about compared to like what high schoolers talk about. It was always fun like hearing about their lives and like what little things they care about, and we're like, oh, like wow, like I don't know. But no.
That's great.
Yeah, we let them we like let them be who they are, and we love it. So I think they look up to us too, so we just let them be themselves, and I think that's what makes them fit in as well as they do.
Yeah. I mean, granted, they are kind of, it's always the little four of them together, but when it comes to like big team stuff and whatever, we always make sure that they are treated as they should be, like high schoolers, you are a part of a high school team. But we do understand, like when we were in 7th grade, we kind of just stayed as the 7th grade group, but then we would, you know, venture off eventually, but it's kind of like that still.
Now, did you ladies begin 7th and 8th grade on the varsity team?
Yep.
Yeah.
So just talk about, we're going to go backwards a little bit now. Just talk about, do you remember your experience as a 7th grader on the varsity team?
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, I had 2 sisters on the team when I was a 7th grader, so that helped. But I think we definitely all kind of stayed together. Like, just how much were it? 6 of us? 6 of us maybe. Yeah. We all kind of stayed together, but to what was familiar. But I think the 7th graders now definitely fit in better than we did. But yeah.
So it must have been a big like, wow, we're playing at a varsity level. We're in a varsity game. This is big. So
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little about what your favorite game is to compete in this year and why. That's probably a big question. There's been a lot of great victories here.
Yeah. I mean, I have 2 personally. Favorite was the Falmouth game. It was just a great experience. I mean, as Sheehan said, we were the underdogs, but it was so fun to like go play, and like we've never actually had an in-season overtime game, so it's just so fun to watch and have that overtime win and be able to defeat a Division I team that now is going to TD Garden. But like it was a great game to compete against.
To add to that, I'd probably say the MC game, the second one we played in our home rink when we beat them. I think playing them the first time we played them, we lost, which is our one loss. But I think playing them again and beating them, it was like a wow, like we can actually go far. Like this is a top Division I school, and we're competing with them, and we beat them. So I think that was kind of like a realization moment that like we could go far. So I'd probably say that was my favorite.
I agree with Shea. The second MC game was definitely my favorite. I think we came in with just so much energy, just ready for revenge basically, and just ready to beat them in our own rink, and it was just a fun game getting to do that.
Now we're going to switch gears really quick and talk about the 3 playoff games. First up, the 5-1 win against Medway. First period was scoreless, I was telling Coach Sheehan. So how did everyone adjust after that intermission?
I think going into the game, I think the first period we got all of our nerves out. Like it was kind of like first playoff game, we don't know much about this team, so we're going to go out there, figure out what's working for us, what's not, what their strengths are, what they're not, and capitalize on their weaknesses. So I think that first period was kind of like figuring out who we're going up against. And then the second period is when we figured out our game and kind of took it to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely in between periods we talk about everything, and just, I think going into playoffs, it's a huge adjustment for us because we're not really used to keeping up with that type of pace. They're usually not that fast, but I think in between periods, just being able to talk about what we did wrong and just fix it is how we finally won that.
I think, first intermission, like Katie said, we went in and just, we talked as a team of just like, if we want to continue our run, we got to like actually step up our game a little. And then I think third period we were just ready to come out and just finish the game and end with a win to get to the next round.
So your teammate, Caitlin Tremblay, had a hat trick. How has she been progressing on the team?
Good. She's on my line, so I think I work well with her. She works well with me. She's definitely a goal scorer, so being there to support her, pass the buck to her. I like working with we work well together, so yeah, she's got a lot of talent, so I like playing with her. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. She's fun to watch. She likes to try a lot of stuff out on the ice, and it's just fun to see how she can pull it off.
Yeah.
She does a different thing every game, and it's just awesome to watch her.
Yeah, I mean, from the bench, just watching her go, and it's so mesmerizing and so fun to watch her. Like, she'll try something new almost every other shift, and it's just like, I wish I could do that, but she's such a talented player, so.
And she has one more year ahead because she's a junior, so. Yep. But, yeah, Caitlin Tremblay, everyone. All right, so next game, Plymouth South, 8-0. That was a big win. Shea, you had a hat trick in that game. How did that team accelerate on offense during the third period after the score was 3-0?
I think that after the 3 goals was definitely momentum. Once you get 1 or 2, you kind of like have that like energy, and you're like bound to get more goals. So I think having that like 3-0 lead like really like pushed us and just kept going. We never stopped, just kept going. But yeah.
Your thoughts on the game?
I think just what Shea said, once we scored 1, was that the one we scored 2 in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think doing that, the momentum was it got crazy high, and the energy was high, and it was just fun to play after that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I wish it was 10-0.
Yeah, I know.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. I mean, we knew it was kind of in the bag, and we kind of sealed it when it was 5-6-0. But I mean, it was just an enjoyable game to play second and third period after we got the momentum shift. Because first period we did kind of come out at their pace, but then after that we were like, this is our game, and like this is our home rink. Like we kind of got to show them.
Yeah.
It was fun after that. After we got a little lead, we got to play in other girls, and that gets more exciting for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone gets in the game, and everyone's involved, and so I think that's also makes it fun and makes everyone want to keep going. But yeah.
Okay, I had something to ask. So the last Marshfield 2-0 loss. The game was played at a neutral site in the Elite 8. What were the challenges not playing at the Ice Palace for the first time in the playoffs?
I think obviously it has to be a neutral site, but I think the downside was that to like having our home rink and having our fans and like kind of owning that rink. So I guess that was kind of hard, like less people and more like even for Marshfield and Burlington for supporters. So I think that was probably the hardest part. But yeah, wish we could have ended in our home rink, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I think the transition into another rink was definitely difficult, and that rink hasn't given us the best outcomes, so I don't think we were excited to play there at all. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I mean, walking into the rink, there was already so much chaos happening and everything with the game prior to us. But I mean, it's just when you go to a neutral site, you kind of want to make it your own rink, but at the same time, you got to remember that you both are traveling to a new rink, so it's got to fight for it, I guess.
So from your perspective, talk about Coach Sheehan's post-game speech after that.
It was definitely emotional for all of us. I think the whole team was upset, and it wasn't just the seniors that were leaving. But his speech, I don't know, we were all very down. But he's always uplifting at the end of the season and says the right words. But it was definitely emotional.
Yeah, definitely a high of emotion, so it's honestly kind of hard to remember what was going on, but I think that everyone felt it. Not even like the loss of the game, but like that was the loss of the season, and for the seniors, it was the loss of the career, so I guess all of that together really was just like overwhelming, but yeah.
Yeah, just high with emotions, but he kind of knew what to say. As he did say, it was just this senior class, it was a big one, but even though we are the 3 captains, like each senior made an impact, no matter like if they didn't play, if they played a lot, they were the top goal scorer, like we all had an impact, and I think that was like part of his speech, just saying goodbye to us, kind of.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about this team as a whole? Just the entire career on this varsity team?
Definitely this last season, I would say. I think just like we've all played us three have played 6 seasons, so I think coming from an 0-20 to almost the opposite of a record was just really like cool. Like it just shows like our work paid off. But the season was definitely the most fun out of them all. The team itself, the coaching, our record. So I think it's cool like when the alumni would like point out a record. We had a lot of alumni come to our games and watch us and be like, congrats, like you're achieving what we wish we could have done. So I think that's really cool, I guess. It's definitely a season to remember that a lot of people for the program, it'd be an important season.
Yeah, I think the team this year just made it so awesome and fun because we were all so close. But every year is just an awesome team to be a part of because it's just such a great group of girls. It's just awesome to be a part of. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, past 6 years, I mean, we've gone through a bunch of different upperclassmen that have obviously graduated, but this year, like Shea said, this was probably my favorite year to remember. I mean, and like Katie said, it was just such a tight-knit group and everything, and we were all so close. I think that's kind of what made it an enjoyable last season.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite part about being a hockey player and why?
I love the sport. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love going out there, even before games, like having that like adrenaline rush, like going out there, playing the game. No, I got a heart for the game. I love it. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Shea. It's just, the sport is just so fun to play, and getting to be a part of the team is awesome too. More of play for the team aspect, but I love playing too.
Yeah, just having the opportunity of getting to grow up playing a sport that I now love, dear to my heart, and getting to see so many other girls come up and play and have the same love for the sport that we do is amazing.
And how have your families helped you along the way?
Big supporters, all of our families.
Every
all
parent.
of our families, but all of our team's families. They're always at our games. Like our majority of our fans are our parents, our siblings, our cousins, our entire families.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, like they're always going out, socializing before and after games, and they always have fun. So I think it also helps us, like seeing they're always having fun, and tight-knit group with the parents as well. So that's always fun to see. But,
Yeah, it's always fun to look up into the stands and see what they're doing.
yeah, they're always
They're always having
doing
fun.
something,
They're always up to something.
Yeah, no, they made this year special too.
They definitely did. Yeah.
They were probably our number one supporters.
Number one for sure. Yeah.
I will add, at all the 2 games, it was packed on that side.
Yeah.
It felt like I was in the arena.
Wearing our jerseys and having signs or whatever. They're always up to something. They always
The
make
ref
it fun.
didn't make a call. Ah!
Yeah,
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
A lot of people there.
Yeah, my family definitely
Yeah.
something to do with that.
Yeah.
How do you think, as a hockey player, how do you think it make you grow as a person? How has it helped you?
I think just the experience has helped me. I don't know how to describe it. Just become a better person all together, I think, like overall, but a better leader, and just seeing how much the younger kids look up to you, it makes you feel so good about yourself, how much I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. We all have leadership roles, so that helps. We learn about that. Dedication to the sport, showing up every day, coming to work, doing your job and going home, things like that. Communication on the ice with your teammates, with your coach, your goalies, things like that. But yeah, definitely coming to practice every day and just putting the work in.
Yeah, I mean, things don't come easy, especially in hockey. You got to work for that win. So I think having that aspect, but yeah.
What will you miss from spending time at the Ice Palace?
Well, I don't know. That's a good one.
Definitely not.
It's not just a place you go. Like, you don't go to the Ice Palace unless you have a
Yeah,
game
yeah,
to go to. It's
yeah.
not like the high school where like you
Right.
can be back. So I think that
Probably a special place.
Yeah, you go there for a reason. Only one reason for hockey. So
Yeah.
it'll be I guess that's what we'll miss about it. All of our practices, our home games are there. That's like our home rink, our locker room's there, which is kind of like specialized to us as a team. So I think we'll miss going in there for a purpose. But yeah, it holds a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's talk about college. Where are we going, and what will we be doing?
Nothing's finalized for the three of us
Yeah, I
yet.
believe
Yeah,
nothing's
Not
finalized.
finalized.
Nothing's finalized.
Okay, nothing
but,
has
No
been.
clue where
Any
I'm going.
ideas?
I might be staying local. Maybe
Okay.
Mass Amherst. Probably I'll end up at. But definitely, yeah.
Now we all know what happened at Mass Amherst last June. The softball championship.
Yep.
And
We were all
part
part
of
that.
it, so
We
yeah.
were-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was exciting.
definitely a different sport. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Completely different sport.
Yeah,
but
completely different.
Same teammates. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no.
I think I'm looking at UNH as like the top one. Hopefully we'll most likely go there. Maybe try to play a club sport, possibly hockey. We'll see. So
I have no clue
Still
where
figuring
I'm going. Probably
It's early.
stay somewhere local, but
yeah.
I have no clue.
Do you have any hopes or dreams for your hockey careers in the future?
I hope so. I'm not ready to give it up yet.
Yeah.
So I hope that I have another opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if it's like a women's league,
Yeah.
when we're older, we'll play together.
Well,
like
we'll start
a
one.
lady league,
Yeah.
something like that. But it's definitely not over. Definitely not over.
I'd like to thank my guests, head coach Rick Sheehan and senior captains Mia Lauder, Shea McDonald, and Katie Hayes. And I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Robert Parris, and we will see you next time on BNEWS Sports Hub.